Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to see you. Although, can't really see you because we're online and this absolutely sucks. And I think back to normal might be happening soon. So fingers crossed, maybe next time we can do this in person. But for now, we are live. We are all around the world. I'm seeing 310 of you. We've got thousands RSVP'd. And yes, we are recording. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, just walking you through a little bit of a welcome to this entire festival. I'm also going to be setting the scene. You'll see what I'm going to do in just a minute. So give me 1 second. Pray to the internet gods. Share. All right. Let's see if I can go full screen. How about that? Hopefully, there you go. Hopefully you can see it. Maybe Ashley, you can text me, let me know if everybody
works.
This. Great.
We can see it.
And you can see me. Awesome. All right. So thank you everybody for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Women and Wealth. This is our first finance festival. We do a conference every year called Get Money, Get Paid, but that's part career, part money. We want to do something that is entirely dedicated to getting rich. Okay. To getting rich. I'm just going to keep yelling that. Rich. I want to give just a very lovely and big thank you to our hosts and sponsors, in particular, Public. Thank you to them, public.com. They are an app that is for investing in companies that you believe in. It also has a social feature, a little bit of a social network so people can share what they're investing in, what they're learning. By the way, we're going to drop a link into the chat that is going to give you 25 real dollars, 25 free dollars, so you can start investing, public.com. I also want to give a shout out to Lolli, which is the first Bitcoin rewards application that allows people to earn and own Bitcoin when they shop online. Okay, so they've partnered with 1,000 brands. When you purchase from those brands, which by the way include Sephora and Macy's and pretty much everywhere that you're probably already shopping, you're going to get cash back, but that cash is going to be in form of Bitcoin. And so later on in the festival, you're going to learn about why it is so crucial to have Bitcoin. Also, The Balance, they are our media partner. They make personal finance really easy to understand. Anytime that I have a question about money, I Google it. I go directly to The Balance, and I'm not just saying that because they're our media partner, okay? So definitely go check them out. And again, thank you to all of them. Oh, and by the way, Ladies Get Paid. Ladies Get Paid, we are an educational platform and global community that is all about helping women advance professionally, financially. We're also a book that came out in January. By the way, this is me, Claire. I always forget to introduce myself. I started Ladies Get Paid. I wrote this book, Ladies Get Paid. And also I am the host of John Hancock's podcast, Friends Who Talk About Money. You can follow me on Instagram. I do respond to every single DM. It might take me a minute, but I will get back to you. So I want you to reach out to me. Stay in touch. Claire Gets Paid. Easy to remember. Okay. Hopefully this is still full screen and you can still see me. We're going to continue on. It's always very odd because I can't actually see you all. I'm going to start in a really depressing way. I am. You're going to stick with me though. When I talk about all of the horribly depressing statistics that we're up against when it comes to women and work and money, it is not to actually depress you, okay? I want you, as you listen to everything that I tell you, I want you to get really mad. Get really friggin' mad, get amped up. Go take the next 2 weeks with this festival and go say, screw you statistics. I would normally say other things, but screw you statistics. I'm going to close my own gap, okay? I'm not gonna wait around for the system to welcome me into it. I'm going to get mine. First sad statistic, you might already feel it. Raise your hand if you do. Jump in the chat, by the way. Tell us where you're calling in from. Drop in your LinkedIn, like use us, use this to find people to pay you money, right? Go get hired, go sell your business. 85% of us say that money is their main stressor. So many gaps, so many gaps. Let's start with wages. And again, remember, we're getting real depressed, but it will get better. A lot of us know about the wage gap, okay? I don't need to go into too much detail here, but just remember, those who are struggling the most among us, that's as far as our progress really is. So even if you've heard of the wage gap being 78 to 80 cents on the dollar, it's not the case for everybody, okay? 55 cents on the dollar, that is what Hispanic women are making. Because of that wage gap, women can lose between $500,000 and $1 million over the course of their lifetime. Okay. Leadership. We are the most educated group ever. By the way, these are stats from the US. If you are not from the US, let me tell you, it's probably better. It's probably better where you're from. Okay. Oh man, this is such a downer. You guys know me. I'm a super positive person. But again, this is just underscoring how friggin' important it is for us to get what's ours. Okay. Less than 22% of women are making it past middle management. Let's talk about Fortune 500 CEOs. Those are 500 companies. Guess how many of those CEOs are actually women? 37. 3 women of color, 2 of them Black. Wow, we got a long way to go. Now let's talk about starting our own businesses, right? The funding gap. Women receive less than 3% of venture capital. Black women are getting less than 1%. Things are getting better this past year-ish, okay? But progress is not linear. Just because we make a little bit of progress doesn't mean we will continue, okay? We have to stay vigilant with this stuff. And then, of course, there's debt. So forget about making the money to grow our wealth. What about covering our butts from the past couple of years, right? Maybe you just graduated. Maybe you graduated a long time ago and you still are carrying that student debt. That's not surprising, unfortunately, okay? Women are the majority of the folks who hold student debt. We're talking about $929 billion, okay? And Black women in particular, they hold more debt than any other group, regardless of gender. Oh, and then of course the pandemic happened, right? Everything got worse, right? Those, who were the most marginalized among us, they were hit the hardest, particularly Black and brown women, hourly workers, retail workers. All the issues that were already here got compounded, which in a sense is kind of good only because it's brought awareness and it has brought urgency. Free money. Investing is free money. I'd love to get into it now, but we've got real experts coming in to talk about it later this week and next week. But here's the thing, interest, compound interest over time, that is free money. We're missing out because we do not invest as much as men. First of all, retirement plans. 75% of men have those retirement plans, only 62% of us. Okay, by the way, if you have a 401k, you are an investor. But are you investing outside of your 401k? I need you to do that, because only 44% of us are doing that. Then there's the matter of confidence here. Okay, so 52% of women say they're confident about managing their investments. Obviously, more men feel more comfortable. Here's what I cannot believe is happening in 2021. The majority of married women, heterosexual couples, right? We're still deferring to our husbands to manage money. But guys, what is happening here? We have higher returns. If you Google women and investing, you will see time over time, we make more from our investments. There's a variety of reasons. I'm sure our expert panelists will talk about that. But just keep in mind, okay, the real stats when it comes down to investing, we make more. We just don't invest as much. But when we do, okay, representation matters. It does. It does. You sort of can't be what you can't see, right? That's a cliche, but it's totally a cliche for a reason. So 31% of financial advisors are women. 15% of Bitcoin traders are women. 10.4% of day traders are women. We talked about the leadership gap, right? When we're looking at the 50 largest hedge funds in the US, there are only 2 women who are top investment executives. God. This is not your fault. Way too often, I think, as women, we internalize when something happens, right? Or we're not getting paid as much as somebody else. Instead of saying the system is wrong, we think, well, what's wrong with me? It's not bad to have a little bit of self-reflection, but I don't want you to take this on as some bearing, of your worthiness. There's been historical discrimination. Here's a little bit of context. And again, apologies, we're starting in a really sad place. It's going to get better. It's going to get so good. But I want you to remember, 1974, we didn't really start to see progress with women in finances until 1974. Let's put this in perspective. My mother was the 3rd class of women in her college. So 1974, which was about when she went to school, that was a long time ago, and it also wasn't. We couldn't get credit cards until the Equal Credit Opportunity Act was passed. Thank you, RBG. Home mortgages. Now, this is historical discrimination that continues. We get approved for less money and we pay more in interest, okay? There's a lot of reasons for this. By the way, more single women purchase homes than men do, but we make less money from it. Business loans, it took until 1988 for the Women's Business Ownership Act to be passed so we could get those loans on our own without men, okay? But even today, I'm curious, for those of you who own businesses, when you were applying for PPP, and this was an experience that we had, did you get it? Did you get it? 90% of businesses owned by people of color were shut out of the Paycheck Protection Program. Again, a lot of reasons for this. Number one, I think, and this is, I'll speak for myself, we didn't have a relationship with the banker. And that speaks to maybe that representation part. It's hard to connect with somebody who doesn't sort of feel familiar to you. It's intimidating. Serious ramifications when it comes to business loans. Working while pregnant, I had to add that in here. It took till 1978 for the Pregnancy Discrimination Act to be passed, which meant we couldn't get fired for having babies, okay? I keep saying, I'm like scolding you. I'm not scolding you. I'm scolding the system. Really messed up. It's also how we've been socialized. Men equal breadwinner, right? I don't know if you all are still feeling like that, that sort of stereotype holds true. Part of that, I think, is, and a real issue here is, as a society, as Americans, right, we're operating in a capitalist system. We oftentimes see our self-worth as our net worth, right? Our net worth is our self-worth. I think men really feel this a lot, and it becomes quite toxic. But we are contributing too. But do we then defer to them? I mean, it's really a lot of mixed messaging, for both genders. Then, of course, this is part is for everybody. There's just a lack of financial education, financial literacy. Honestly, I started Ladies Get Paid because I needed Ladies Get Paid. And every webinar that we do, I want to take. And I always think to myself, I wish that I had learned this earlier. All that student debt that I got into my college, wish I'd learned how to balance a checkbook while I was there. Then we don't talk about it. This is why I host my podcast, Friends Who Talk About Money. It is the ultimate taboo, which is sort of ironic because everybody wants money, everybody needs money, yet there is shame. There is shame associated with it. This is a serious crisis, right? We have the shame, we have that financial inequality. What do we do? What do we do? We come to a festival like this. Well, this is what you're asking me. What do we do? I could teach an entire workshop on each of these things that I'm going to bullet point out here right now. I know we don't have time for it, but be rest assured, Dominique Broadway, who's going to be coming on right after me, she's going to be teaching an hour-long workshop that really breaks down the financial literacy you need to know, right? That foundation that you can build on to start doing big, maybe riskier investments like dabbling in crypto, although you're going to hear about why that's not as risky as you think. But let me just lay the groundwork for you here. You do have power, even though we've been disenfranchised, okay? Feels like we don't. You do have a say in knowing your worth. This is why I started Ladies Get Paid, or why I began Ladies Get Paid with salary negotiation specifically. Even if you can't change the system, just you, but you can't, we need a groundswell. You can get paid more. You can close your own gap. That also means deeply believing that you are worthy of that kind of advocacy, deeply believing that you are worthy of the money that you're asking for. So really do your market research. You can come to the Ladies Get Paid YouTube channel. You can also check out ladiesgetpaid.com/institute. I teach a whole class of salary negotiation, but come armed with numbers and also come armed with the numbers of the money that you've made the company, right? You've made the company. You're going to leverage the money you've made the company to make a better case for why you deserve the raise. So definitely start with knowing and believing in your worth. Then it's also about identifying and undoing some obstacles that you have around money. I'm actually about to get my certificate in financial psychology and behavioral finance. There's a lot of what's running in the back of our brains that are called money scripts. This is basically baggage that we continue to carry from our parents, parents, right? Sounds a little bit like therapy. The way that we view money is oftentimes either exactly how our parents viewed money, or it's a rebellion against how they view money. So when we are avoidant, right? We don't want to check our bank account. We don't want to spend money. We don't want to invest, right? Serious fear of risk. That can be changed. That's a narrative in our head. You can change it. It's going to take some work, but just know that there are some internal, emotional, psychological blockers in there, and you will have the power to change them, okay? Then we got to start saving. I think, they say save for a rainy day. Well, this past year, this was a rainy year. And again, it's not to say this is the good news, but the only thing I saw come out of this pandemic really was, again, that awareness, that urgency of how important it is to have a financial safety net. You cannot take risks in your life if you don't have a way to protect yourself when you take those risks. And for anybody who started a business, I think it is upon us, and I will be the first to say, we have privilege often. When you start businesses, usually that means you've got savings or you've got a family who can help you. Your life will only be as big as the decisions that you make, as the risks that you are able to take. Even being a strong negotiator, right? Like the strongest negotiators are the folks who are able and willing to walk away. How are you able to do that if you do not have a financial safety net? And here's my big fear. Only 56% of women have savings. Only 56% of women have savings. That is honestly the first thing we need to do. Get those savings, pay off that debt, and start investing. Dominique will tell you more about that. Generating multiple revenue streams, good news. The entire festival is going to go over all the ways that you can make money, different kinds of investing. We've got real estate, starting your own company, right? Getting equity in your company. But let's not rely on only one thing, one person. That's way too scary. Then ask for help, right? This is where the sort of shame component comes in. We don't want to ask for help oftentimes as women because we're afraid that we're sort of a burden to people, or we don't want to admit that we don't know. Again, 34, I feel like I should have known a lot of this stuff already. And that makes it really difficult to speak up and to ask for help. But, and I have seen this in our Slack community, ladiesgetpaid.com, join it, 100,000 women are in it, 2 million messages have been exchanged. I have seen that I am absolutely not alone. We all have the same questions. So you be the first one to ask it. It is not only helping yourself to learn the answers, but it is showing other people, other women, it's okay to talk about this. Not just okay, we really have to. Oh, that's weird. I don't know what those slides were. All right. Well, actually, I want to go back and look at that one. Oh, no. Okay, that's a chicken. Okay. That was a comical break in between, so we can just look at a chicken. Now I want to talk about changing the system really quickly. And again, I am going over things that honestly, each bullet point on each slide could have been an entire presentation. So thank you all for sticking with me as I spoke a little bit quickly here. Policies. The system will only change when the laws get changed. Here are a couple of policies to really pay attention to. I encourage you, yes, Google them, support, and at the end, I'm going to have some resources and organizations that you can specifically support, but I also do go over it in my book. Couple ones off the bat: minimum wage, Paycheck Fairness Act, paid family leave, Universal Child Care and Learning Act, the Healthy Family Act, Fair Work Week, and then run for office and support those that do. We've got a number of women in the Ladies Get Paid community who became the change that they wanted to see. And they did it. And they did it by galvanizing other people. You've got a community here ready to support you. So you raise your hand and you be the one, again, to make the change that you want to see. Here's some resources. Again, we're going to share this with you all. So don't worry about taking notes, although if you want to take a screenshot, go for it. So all of those policies that I mentioned, which by the way, kind of tackle the issues of workplace and financial inequality from various different components, because it's not necessarily like you pull a switch and now all of a sudden we all get paid equally. Okay, go check these folks out. National Partnership for Women and Families, National Domestic Workers Alliance. The people who are really suffering the most among us are working mothers and retail workers, caregivers. Those are the folks who make the least. They don't have the social safety net to support them, right? If they have to miss work, they can get fired. So if you really want to put your efforts towards closing these enormous gaps, these organizations absolutely can use your support, whether you're given $5, tweeting about them, volunteering. Really have faith that a small step really does equal big change. I mean, I've seen that with Ladies Get Paid. I brought a couple of women together in a room and I said, let's talk about money. And look where we are today. Okay. Always remember you are not alone. Seriously, any issue that you are struggling with, personal, professional, we want to help. People really want to help, but you do have to ask. You do have to speak up. I know it's cliche, but a rising tide lifts all boats. I do love that expression, and it is very true. If you do a little bit and I do a little bit, collectively, we are moving the needle. Let's amplify each other. And really, at the end of the day, it's not so much about money, actually. You're like, Claire, why did I come to this festival? It's not about money. It's really about the life you want to lead, and the legacy you want to leave. Money ultimately is energy. It's a made up system. Now I'm going to go off on like a whole soapbox here. It's this made up system, okay? And people wield it as power. People are afraid of it, right? We have so many emotions that are caught up in it. Let's put the money aside for a second and let's even close our eyes and think about, what do I want my day to look like? My life to look at? Where do I want to wake up? How do I want to feel? Even coming up with a word, right? What does my life success look like to me? Instinctually, right? For me, it's freedom. Then the question becomes, what place does money have in that vision, right? What kind of career can support that vision of freedom, right? How does that get manifested in my life? And what's the money that I need to really fulfill that life? So it's not starting with the money necessarily, knowing that, again, it's always going to be harder for some people than others. At the end of the day, right, you got to put food on the table, the lights, all that. But I don't want you to chase the money. I really want you to be fully in your power, in your purpose, and then know what place money has in getting you to be where you want to be and how you want to feel. And it's also about generations, generational wealth. That's what white men have over us. They've been doing this for years. We're just getting started. But, and I'm really not trying to rag on the men at all, but we're better investors, okay? We're better investors. We're better savers. So we could do really well, and that is scary to a lot of people. But believe me, please believe me, have faith in this, have faith in yourself, and know how powerful education can be. And again, release any shame or self-doubt or fear, okay, that you might have about this stuff. Love you to purchase my book, ladiesgetpaid.com/book. It is essentially the lifespan of a career represented by real women in the Ladies Get Paid community, and each of them is going through a different kind of professional challenge. And as I tell their story, I stop along the way and I give advice. And so again, back to that, you'll see yourself. Also, don't forget, it's not just today. We've got a lot of events happening. So you have to RSVP for each event. So when you go to public.com/finance-festival, you're going to see a whole list of other workshops and talks that are going on. Everything from this Thursday, so I guess that's tomorrow, which is Intro to Stock Market Investing, all the way through a closing keynote, which is on April 28th. And this is free. And that is thanks to Public, Lolli, The Balance. And by the way, when you're seeing things like blockchain, NFT, all that, stick around. If that stuff sounds kind of scary, intimidating, you're Googling and like you're seeing a lot of Reddit bros, that's exactly why we should be coming to this festival. That's exactly why we should be paying attention. It doesn't have to be scary. The jargon that's being used, right? All the conversations happening in Reddit, we need to explode that. We need to put it in our language and we need to share it. Also, we're going to be skeptical, and I'm speaking from personal experience. When I hear about things like NFTs, which, non-fungible token, my eyes are going cross, and I think, how is this going to work? And I just want to kind of shut it down. It's good to be skeptical, but I want us to continually have an open mind to this stuff. Otherwise, we may not make the money that the men are making. And as you've seen with all of those horrible statistics, let us not be in our own way. Right? Life is hard enough. Let's not make it harder for ourselves. Like I said, Instagram is a great place to be in touch with me, to stay in touch with me. Claire Gets Paid. You are also more than welcome to email me at claire@ladiesgetpaid.com. I want to hear from you. I'm also going to introduce Dominique Broadway in just a minute, but I will stop the screen share. I think I have a few minutes for questions. If you all would like to jump in the chat. So let's see. Good. I'm seeing some folks promote themselves, which is exactly what I want to see, right? Isabella, she's completing a certification coaching program. That's awesome. Hey, Allie, thanks for saying you're killing it. Good. Good. Yes. And shine theory, by the way, if you want to be an ally to somebody starting tomorrow at your company in a public meeting, give them a shout out. Okay. Allie. I thought, Allie, you just made a great point. Love what, oh, everybody recognizes Allie. They're also hearing your own voice. Okay. You're a leader. Or go to Allie's manager. I think Allie's doing a great job. Because we're always looking for ways to be allies. And sometimes we think that it needs
to should be good.
But it doesn't.
Can I share screen? My share screen button isn't working yet.
I see that Dominique is on, or she's perhaps backstage. I'm a little.
I wonder am I backstage?
Sometimes the people jump on before they're ready. So I would say, let me just keep answering a few questions, and then Ashley, maybe you can text me for what to do next. And thanks all for sticking around here. This is the second time we've used Hopin, and the online event live space is new, I think, to a lot of us. So I have this question: what is the first step of financial literacy for women? Well, it's coming here. It's any question you have, being unafraid to ask it. Honestly, the balance. They're going to give you a lot of terms, right? We've got to break down the language that people use and recognize that it actually isn't as tricky as we may think it is. So I would say that's a great place to begin. And yes, the recordings will be available to everybody who registers. So we will send you an email, if not this week, next week, and they are here forever more. And I'll also be sharing some resources, right? All the slides. If you really want to depress yourself, you go back and watch all of the slides, look at all the slides, but there's also going to be that individual slide that has the organizations that are working towards, improving and enacting the policies that I listed. So that is, like I said, we can't close the gaps on our own, but with our voices together, we can lobby for the change that we need to see. So there you go. Okay. Also, by the way, there's a really great, if you want to go to Ladies Get Paid Instagram, we did an awesome Instagram live with Amanda Holden, where she really broke down a lot of those financial terms that, again, get really intimidating and are totally unnecessarily complicated. She also gives some examples of different accounts that you can open. So, of course, Dominique's going to jump on and she's going to walk you through her presentation, but keep going on your education. And like I said, Ladies Get Paid Instagram is a wonderful place to begin. Any other questions that you have? It could also be career questions. If not, she's on with you. Dominique is on. Let's see. Or hold on one second. She's on with you. Okay. Well, good. And is Dominique able to share? Are you able to share your slides?
Hey, can you hear and see me?
I can. If you're going to be ready to share your slides now, I will hop off. I will leave you to it, but just give you a quick introduction for everybody who is here. First of all, Dominique's name, I just love, Dominique Broadway.
Thank you.
So there's that. She is a finance expert and the founder of Finances Demystified and also the Social Money Tour, which I hope she can talk more about, which sounds like something I definitely want to be a part of it. She's going to be breaking down some of those terms for us, also talking about why we need to just release shame. And I'm not sharing my screen anymore.
You're not sharing your screen.
Nope. Not sharing my screen. So maybe I just need to X out. And by the way, guys, you're seeing the backstage happening on stage. So welcome to the internet. And I have that. So let me go ahead and jump off, and hopefully that means you're going to be able to share your screen.
Awesome.
I'm no longer sharing it, and I have the inability to share it. So pray to the internet gods, the tech gods. I'm going to be rooting for you, Dominique. Everybody.
Hopefully they let me share. But thank you so much for having me on today, Claire. I'm excited to hopefully get this information out.
Let's do this. All right. I'll see you all after Dominique's presentation.
Awesome.
We'll bring it on. We'll bring her on now.
All right. Thank you. All right. Let's see if the share screen button will work for me. It is working. Awesome. All right. All right. All this technology doesn't want us to be great. Okay. Cool. I think we're good. Can I get it in the chat? Are we good to go? You can see my screen and you can see me. Yes. Ashley, everyone? Okay, I guess so. All right, we are finally on. I'm so excited to be a part of this finance festival. You know, I'm a finance nerd, so all this stuff, finance, money, making my money grow is like one of my all-time favorite things, right? So I'm excited to be here tonight just to share with you, just financial literacy 101, just a few money basics that you can use to prepare you for your investing journey. And, you guys, ladies get paid in public, have put together so much awesome content for you this week. But I just wanted to kind of prime your mind and prime your money mindset so that you're ready to soak in all this information that you guys are going to be receiving over the next few days. So as Claire may have mentioned, my name is Dominique Broadway. I'm an award-winning financial planner, personal finance expert, and the founder of Finances Demystified. I've spoken on stages all across the world, from Singapore to Toronto to so many places in between. I've been featured on local news. I was also named one of the best money experts in the United States by Go Banking Rates and one of the top financial advisors in the United States for millennials. I work with Google, Toyota, Schwab, H&R Block, Uber, Capital One, and so many other awesome organizations, either helping them to amplify their financial literacy message or helping them to develop financial literacy curriculum. So you're probably wondering, like, where did it all begin for me and how did I get my knowledge, right? And also, how did I fall in love with the topic of personal finance and money and investing? So I actually fell in love with the topic of money. Yeah, I guess money and investing and making my money grow for me when I was like 16 years old. And I realized, actually probably earlier than that, but I realized there was two ways that like the rich were getting richer. One was through investing and the other was through real estate. So I was really intrigued at a younger age with figuring out how I can make my money work for me. Because I realized early on that I was not trying to be out here having to work for every single dollar every single day. I wanted my money to be working for me while I was going out and working. So I went to Bowie State University, which is a historically Black college in Bowie, Maryland. I ended up getting an internship at UBS Financial Services, which at the time, I'm not sure now, is one of the top wealth management firms in the world. Now, the funny thing is I had never heard of this company. You want to know why? Because they targeted high net worth individuals. And I was not a high net worth individual. I didn't come from a family of high net worth individuals. We were middle class, but we didn't have tons and tons of money like these types of organizations would target, right? So I ended up working there, becoming a licensed financial planner and stockbroker for high net worth individuals, helping people manage their money, invest it, save it, grow it, and all that good stuff, right? Worked there for a few years. I had bought my first house before I graduated college, and my friends were like, whoa. What in the world were you doing while we were in school? We all moved back home with our parents, and you moved into a super cute condo. And I'm like, wait, you guys weren't like saving and investing while you were in school? And they were like, no, right? So I realized there was this huge gap of information because the companies that I worked at, you had to have millions of dollars to become clients. And my friends didn't have millions of dollars, but they still wanted access to that financial information. So after me having to constantly tell them no, I couldn't help them because they didn't have enough money, I ended up quitting my job and starting my company. I started it in about a week. At the time, it was just called Dominique Broadway, Fresh Ideas for a Brighter Financial Future, which sounds super corny. And then I ended up changing my company name to Finances Demystified, which is the company that I own now. And we focus on helping millennials, entrepreneurs, and creatives to understand their finances and essentially be able to use them to bring all of their dreams to reality. All right. And if you're not following me on IG, please make sure you do so, because I spend all my time there, not on Twitter. All right, so here's a few things you guys are going to learn from me today. First is setting realistic financial goals that you will actually achieve, right? Nobody likes to set goals that are unachievable, right? Next, we're going to figure out what's your relationship with money. As Claire was said, not Claire. Claire, right? Yeah, as Claire was saying, money is energy, right? Money is energy. And if you have this kind of negative relationship, there could be some negative energy in your life, right? That could be blocking money from being attracted to you. We're also going to talk about what are your two magic numbers, right? Your two magic numbers and your freedom numbers, because these numbers are going to be very important as you're figuring out how you can start investing and what you can afford to actually start investing with. I'm also going to share with you investment accounts to get started, right? We're going to go over some of the basic investment accounts, retirement accounts, and just all the basic information you guys need to get this investment journey jump started. So first things first is setting financial goals, okay? Setting financial goals. Now, believe it or not, setting financial goals is probably one of the most important parts when it comes to starting your investing journey or just trying to reach any financial, business, life, career goal whatsoever. All right. And when you're setting these financial goals, it's important to create, I'm sure a lot of us remember, like creating SMART goals, realistic goals, goals that are trackable. Right. And I always tell people the first thing you want to do when you're creating these goals is do a brain dump. Right. As Claire was mentioning, talking about kind of designing your life. I love promoting the topic of lifestyle design. I think that we all have the right and ability to create the life that we want to live, the life that we want to live. Right. I realize I love waking up and looking at the water every day. So I moved to Miami and now I look at the water every morning when I wake up. Right. What do you want your life to look like? Do you want to go and sit in the office every day? Do you want to work from home? Do you want to travel and work? What is it that you want your life to look like, right? Do a brain dump, because that brain dump is going to help you figure out what is it that you're even trying to accomplish. Okay. And as I said, what do you want to accomplish? Think about, what do you want to accomplish this month? What do you want to accomplish this year? What do you want to accomplish next year? What do you want to accomplish in this lifetime? All of these goals that you are setting have some sort of financial cost or financial repercussion to it, right? So it's important for you to write out these goals and then make a list of action items to actually hit those goals. And for each action item, you have to put a date. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm like a huge procrastinator, okay? Like huge procrastinator. So if I don't have a date, right, and I'm sure any of my staff or team members watching this are probably like, yes, she's a huge procrastinator. If I don't have a date to get something done by, it is not going to get done, okay? And you have to know yourself. I know myself. So one of the things I want you guys to do tonight, and as you guys are going through this finance festival, is take some time and write out at least 5 goals. There could be more, but write out 5 goals, right? They could be, making a certain amount of money this year. It could be, learning to invest. It could be paying off credit card debt, paying off student loans, buying a home, having money to travel for a year, right? Think about what your goals are and create a realistic plan for you to actually make these things happen, okay? Next, thinking about this plan, right? So anytime you're creating goals, all right, anytime we're creating goals, we want to make sure we have an action plan, right? As I said, I'm the type of person where when I create a goal, I need to have actionable steps to make it happen, because if not, I won't make it happen. So example, let's say if your goal was like, hey, I want to make $100,000 this year, right? In my business, right? This is a very simple concept, but let's say if you're like, hey, I'm going to get 10 corporate clients at $5,000 each, which equal $50,000. And I'm going to sell 2,000 copies of my $25 ebook, which equals $50,000. So that equals a total of $100,000. Now, obviously that's a very simple, a simple plan, but literally reaching your goals, the strategies can be as simple as that. Literally writing out, what is it that I want to do? How many of these things that I need to do? How many things do I need to sell to get there? Or what steps do I need to take, right? If it's paying off credit card debt, it could literally be, I'm going to call my credit card company and I'm going to, review all the credit cards I have and make a list to see what my interest rates are. The next step may be seeing if I can lower the interest rates, right? All these different types of things can actually get you closer to your goal, right? So one of my goals this year was to have my first $1 million month. I was like, I want to have my first $1 million month. in my business. I sat down, I made a plan of how I'm going to have my $1 million month, and I wrote it out. This is what I'm going to do. I need to do this amount of activity in the business, this amount of, need to generate this amount of leads. I need to hit this amount of sales. And then boom, I hit it, right? I hit my first $1 million month. But that's because I didn't just say I want to hit $1 million month and hope and pray that it happened. I actually created a plan. Okay. So I want you guys to create a plan, as you are thinking about whatever it is that you want to accomplish in your life. Trust me, it's critical. It is extremely, extremely important. Next, I want to know, how's your relationship with money, right? How is your relationship with money? So believe it or not, the relationships that you have with money could literally be blocking you from receiving the money that you want when it comes to investing, when it comes to actually, even making money from your job, or being able to manage your debt, et cetera, et cetera. Like, these relationships that you have could literally be blocking you. And a lot of times these relationships that you have with money have a lot to do with some of your very first experiences with money, right? Your very first experiences with money. So these could be experiences that you had as a child, or the relationship that you even saw your parents have with money, right? All these different things, right? All these different things can literally be impacting how you manage your money now. Like, did you see your parents struggle? And so you feel like it's almost natural for you to struggle. You almost feel like it has to be hard to make money, right? We have clients in our investing course who a lot of times we show them, like, look, you can do this step by step to make money by investing and trading. And sometimes they're like, this has to be too good to be true, right? It has to be harder to make money. But why do we feel like it has to be difficult for us to make money, or difficult for us to, or that it has to be something that's a struggle for us to get the dollars that we want, right? Money can flow to us easily. It's one of the affirmations that I say to myself all the time, right? I'm a money magnet. Money flows to me every day, all day. And it does because I actually believe that, right? So I want you guys to think about what was your first experience with money, right? Write that down and think about, are these experiences impacting you now, right? Are they impacting you now? Are they blocking you? Are they keeping you from reaching your goals, right? And then I want you to think about, some of the things that you can actually do to fix those experiences, right? Maybe it's having a conversation with your loved one, or maybe even going to therapy and addressing some of those money blocks, right? Another thing is thinking poor, right? I notice a lot of us think poor, right? You can't get rich if you're constantly thinking poor. You can't get rich if you are constantly, or build wealth if you're constantly living in fear and thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to happen bad, right? Now, we always have to be prepared, right? We have to be prepared and obviously protect our finances. But if you're preparing for success, you're going to get success. If you're preparing for failure, you're going to get failure, right? So anything that you are preparing yourself for is what is going to happen. So I love this little activity, and I hope you guys can take like a screenshot, because it talks about some of the differences in a poor versus a wealthy mindset, right? A lot of times when you are, maybe if you grow up, as Kirsten said here, with a poverty mindset, you could be thinking, what do people used to say? Money is the root of all evil, right? And it's not the case. Money can allow you to do great things, right? I enjoy making money because it allows me and our family to live the lifestyle we desire, but it also allows me to give back and help other people, right? Other things like rich people or wealthy people have a financial plan, and poor people only have a budget to get through the month, right? Rich people, they focus on making things happen, right? People who have a poor mindset often think, oh no, things happen to me. Woe is me, right? So I want to make sure that you guys are thinking in a wealthy mindset as you're preparing, because it doesn't matter what anyone talks to you about this week and next week about investing and growing your wealth. If your mind can't even fathom or doesn't even believe that you deserve to be wealthy, okay? So I want you guys to list 3 things from that list above that you can change now, right? Towards a wealthy mind, towards getting yourself closer to a wealthy mindset. Next, I want to talk about what are your two magic numbers, right? So your 2 magic numbers are what I like to call, well, income and expenses are what I like to call your 2 magic numbers, right? So your income is obviously how much money you're bringing in every month or how much money you make, right? Next is your expenses. How much does it cost to run you or your household every single month, right? These 2 numbers are extremely important, and you should know these numbers. Like I should walk up to Linda or Candace or Annabelle and say, Annabelle, what's your 2 magic numbers? And you should be able to rattle them off just like you know your name, your date of birth, and things of that nature. When I worked with clients one-on-one, there was so many times I would say, well, how much do you make? And they're like, oh, wait, let me find my pay stub. Let me look at my bank account. I'm like, wait a minute. How do you not know how much you make? How can you be on a financial journey if you don't even know your bare bone numbers? If you don't know your 2 magic numbers, if you don't know how much money you're bringing in, or if you don't know how much your expenses are, how can you expect to be able to hit any of your financial goals if you don't even know how much is coming in or how much is going out, right? So that's why those numbers are extremely important, especially as you're using these numbers to figure out how much you can afford to start investing with, right? And it's important that you guys have a spending plan, okay? A spending plan. I know people call them budgets. I know people don't like the term budget because budgets aren't sexy. They can be, but a spending plan can definitely be sexier, right? So as we said, number 1, figuring out your income. How much money are you bringing in every month? Number 2, writing down your expenses. What are your expenses every single month, right? And then number 3 is understanding your bottom line, which is your income minus your expenses, right? Your income minus your expenses. And when you're looking at this spending plan, what you want to do is give every single dollar a job, okay? Every single dollar a job. So you have a job to go out and make the money, and then the money comes to you, and then you let the money be lazy. No, those dollars need to have a job, okay? Every single dollar that you're bringing in, maybe a couple of those dollars go to putting shelter over your head. Maybe a couple of those dollars go to food. A couple of those dollars go to, getting you around town. A couple of those dollars go to childcare. A couple of those dollars go to savings, right? Maybe, but some of those dollars need to go to investing. Some of those dollars need to go to actually making those dollars work for you and make you more money. Don't allow your money to come in and just be lazy, right? That's not okay. So make sure you're giving every single dollar a job, all right? Now let's talk about trading versus investing. I know you guys are going to be learning about all different types of ways to invest this week, but it's really important to understand what these things even mean, right? So what does it mean to invest? Investing, the dictionary definition, right? Investing basically is the act of committing money or capital to an endeavor with the expectation of obtaining an additional income or profit. All right. So people who invest are interested in gradually building wealth over an extended period of time. Okay. And typically they will do this through the buying and holding of a portfolio of stocks, mutual funds, bonds, or other investment instruments. It could be art, real estate, et cetera, right? But essentially they want their money working for them, right? Making your money work for you, right? Making your money work for you. Like I said, we don't want, as Amanda said, we don't want those lazy dollars, right? We don't want no lazy dollars over here. We want our money working for them. So people who are typically investing, they're like, hey, I have this money. It's $100, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $50,000, whatever. And I want this money to go and start working for me. So I am going to invest it, right? Next is trading, right? Because that's one of the things that I teach, but I also do both. I invest, but I also am a trader, right? I'm also a trader. So what does it mean to trade? Trading is the act of buying and selling or exchanging stocks, bonds, or currency. So when you are trading, right, this involves more frequent transactions, as I said, such as the buying and selling of stocks, commodities, currency pairs, or other instruments. So these people who actively trade are looking to maximize short-term strategies so that they can maximize their returns on a daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis, right? So when I trade most days of the week, I'm looking to make money every single day or week or month or quarter, right? So that's the difference between people who invest and trade, or like people like myself who do both, right? So this is a key wealth building element. And I love this slide because I think it's simple, but honestly, it's extremely powerful. It's very, very powerful, okay? This is a key wealth building element, and it's basically the concept of compound interest, right? Compound interest is literally allowing your money to compound and make money on that money, and then make money on that money, and then make money on that money, and then make money on that money, right? It's very, very powerful. And the earlier you start saving, the less you have to save, okay? The earlier you start saving, the less you have to save. It's a simple, simple concept. But a lot of times, many of us, especially women, I realize, right? They're like, they won't necessarily do anything with their finances until they hit 30, right? So when I work with clients, I don't know why. Every time a woman was about to turn 30, she'd be like, oh my gosh, Dominique, I need to get my finances together. I'm turning 30. And I'm like, what is up with this magical year 30, right? Why do you feel like your life has to come together at 30, right? But essentially, as I said, the earlier you start saving, the less you have to save. So example, if you started saving or investing $200 a month, right, at and you're averaging a rate of return of about 7%, right? Let's just say your money is in the stock market, and you're investing $200 a month, and you start at the age of 25. By the age of 65, you'd have $530,000 saved, right? But let's say if you just waited 10 years to the age of 35 and did the same exact amount, $200 a month, by the age of 65, you would literally have less than half of what the 25-year-old had, just because they started 10 years earlier, right? So that's the power of compound interest, and remembering that the earlier you start saving, the less you have to save. So if you've been procrastinating with saving because you're like, oh, I'm not ready, I don't have enough, don't do that. Stop, cut it out. Save whatever you can, or invest whatever you can, right? Because you're going to be able to, you will be able to save or invest less the earlier you start doing so, okay? Next, I wanted to go over just a few investment things that you guys should know as you're kicking off your investment journey. I know everyone's going to be digging a lot deeper into investing this week, but I want to just go over a couple investment basics, right? Or the most common types of investments, right? I know this week people are probably talking about options and cryptocurrency and all these other fun things, but let's just kind of go back to some of the bare bone basics, right? So first is stocks, right? So what are stocks, right? Stocks essentially are shares of ownership in a company, right? Shares of ownership in a company. Now, as I always say, just because you own a share of a stock does not mean, let's say if you own a share of Apple, don't mean you can walk up in Apple and be like, hey, I have a share, I'm part owner, I have some things I want to say, or give me a MacBook. They'll probably kick you out. But essentially, when you own a stock, you own a share you have a share of ownership in a company, right? So when you own a stock, when you're owning stock or investing in stock, you may hear different terminology. You may hear someone say, I have stock in Apple, right? Or you may hear someone say, I own X amount of shares or 100 shares of Apple. Or you may even hear someone say, I have a equity position in Apple, right? These are literally all different ways of saying that they are invested in Apple, right? So a few key things I want to make sure we point out is the price, right? So this is the stock price, $121.42. So if you want to buy one share of Apple, it costs $121.42 on whatever day this image was pulled, right? This is the change in value. It went up $1.29 on this day, which equals 1.07%, right? Then over here, we have Apple's stock symbol. So Apple's stock symbol is AAPL, and Apple is traded on the NASDAQ exchange. So there's two main stock exchanges in the United States. One is the NASDAQ. The other is the NYSE, which is the New York Stock Exchange. Okay. A few other key things I want to point out. And this image right here was just pulled from Google. So you could literally go to Google, right? And you could literally go to Google and you could type in Apple, Apple stock or Google or whatever, any of their symbols, and this image will pull up, this kind of market summary. All right. A few other key things that I want you guys to understand is what these mean, right? So this open, high, and low is literally what the stock price opened out on this day, the highest that it hit this day, and the lowest that it hit this day. Okay. This market cap stands for market capitalization. This is literally the total dollar amount, right? The total dollar amount of all total value, dollar amount of all shares, all publicly traded shares of Apple stock. So there's $2.04 trillion of Apple stock, right? That is being traded. So there's only a few companies that have $1 trillion market cap. I think Google, I think Amazon, and a few others, but there's not tons that have $1 trillion, not billion, $1 trillion market cap. Next, we have the price earnings ratio, right, which is one of the factors that people use sometimes to make investment decisions. And then the dividend yield. This is literally the percentage, or helps you determine how much Apple's dividend is or will be. So I got my Apple, I think we're actually getting Apple dividends in a couple of weeks. My last Apple dividend was 20 cents per share. So for every share of Apple that I owned, I received an extra 20 cents. Okay. Previous close is literally what the stock closed the previous day before. 52-week high and 52-week low is the highest and lowest that this stock has been in the last 52 weeks. Okay. Next is mutual funds, right? And this mutual funds is probably what you'll commonly see in your 401k or your investment account. And a mutual fund is essentially what I like to say, almost like an Easter basket, right? So around when you get your Easter basket when you're a little kid, it's filled with your favorite candies, right? Your favorite candies or your favorite toys. So literally buying a mutual fund is like buying a basket of your favorite companies, right? It can literally be hundreds and sometimes thousands of different types of stocks or bonds inside of a mutual fund, right? This is a snapshot of American Funds Growth Fund of America, which is one of the largest mutual funds in the US, okay? And as you can see, this is their symbol, AGTHX, and this right here is their price, $67.92, and it went down $2.18 on this day. So this is a snapshot of the type of things that you may see in a mutual fund. So this mutual fund, American Funds Growth Fund of America, these are the top companies that are inside of it, right? Tesla, Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, which is Google, United Health Group, MasterCard, Broadcom, ASML. These are companies, most of them, that we are all very familiar with. So I definitely challenge you, if you have a 401k or retirement account or something of that nature, and you've never actually looked at your mutual funds, take some time, look at your mutual funds, see what the breakdown is, see what companies you actually hold inside of these mutual funds. I think a lot of you will be very surprised. You'll realize, oh my gosh, like I actually already own Apple, or already own Tesla, or already own Google, right? A lot of us say, oh my gosh, I don't own some of these companies. And you actually do, because they are inside of your mutual funds, okay? So when you're thinking about some of these different types of, stocks, or thinking about some of the first companies you may want to invest in, I always tell people, think about what are your favorite places to shop, right? Your favorite places to shop, or the places that you already frequent, are great places to actually start investing, right? So I remember placing some of my first trades when I was like 16, 17 years old, and I was buying companies that I liked, maybe it was Apple or Disney or McDonald's, companies that I was already familiar with, and companies that I actually already enjoyed frequenting, right? So even now I make thousands and thousands of dollars trading Apple stock every week and Apple options, but I don't mind, trading their Apple stock and options, but I also own a lot of Apple products, right? I don't mind buying Apple products because I know I also can make thousands of dollars, right? By trading some of these different companies that I am super familiar with, right? In places that I already frequent, okay? So people are asking about ETFs. Yes, I figured we can go deeper into ETFs later this week, but ETFs are exchange traded funds. So ETFs are essentially like a mutual fund and a stock got together and had a baby, okay? So mutual funds behind the scenes trade at the end of the day, okay? So they trade at the end of the day, meaning they wait until the end of the day to calculate once the market closes at 4 p.m. to see how all the companies did, and then their price adjusts. ETFs are exchange traded funds, which trade all day long like stocks, okay? So they're essentially very similar to mutual funds. They just trade all day long. So they're a relatively newer, not like in the past year, but in the past, I guess, 20 years, newer investment type, right? So they're essentially the same thing as mutual funds. They have hundreds, sometimes thousands of stocks inside, okay? But typically they will have lower fees, okay? All right, investment accounts to get started. So these are accounts, you can literally buy mutual funds, stocks, sometimes options, ETFs, all these different types of things, maybe even cryptocurrency in these types of accounts, right? Depending on what company you have your account with, okay? So a few different types of brokerage accounts, right? We got our individual investment accounts, right? Our individual investment accounts, which are basically like if you went to the bank and opened up an account, like, hey, I just want a personal checking account. It's literally the same thing. The only difference is you can actually place trades or have investments inside of an individual investment account, and it's for one person. So I, Dominique, could just go and open an individual investment account for myself. Right? Another type of account, I'll just skip down real quick, are joint accounts, right? So obviously you and someone else own it. You can also have business accounts and have investments inside of a business account. There's also margin accounts. So margin accounts, which I also love, give you the ability to increase your buying power. So you can literally use the brokerage account's money or borrow their money to buy stocks, right? So I know for some investment accounts, if you put, $2,000 in, they will, 2x or 4x what your investment is and increase your buying power. So you will actually have to apply to get this margin account. They don't pull your credit or anything like that, but it gives you the ability to increase your buying power for your trading and investing. Now, obviously, anytime you're borrowing money, there are risks involved. So obviously do your research, but these are a few different types of investment accounts that you can open now to start investing and trading. Next, Roth IRAs, and 401ks. So most of you are probably familiar with a 401k, right? If you have a traditional 9-to-5, or if you work for the federal government, you have a TSP, but you have a retirement account that is offered by your employer, right? So your 401k allows you to contribute up to $19,500 a year, right? Before taxes. So basically when your employer pays you, the money goes to your 401k before it's taxed, right? Next we have, I'm going backwards, we're going up, is the IRA, right? The IRA is an account that you can open on your own. You can contribute up to $6,000 a year, and you can write off the contributions to your IRA. Next is a Roth IRA, a Roth IRA. So a Roth IRA is after-tax money. In your Roth IRA, this money grows tax-free. Okay, you can contribute up to $6,000 a year to a Roth IRA, but please note, because I know a lot of you guys are big earners out here. There are income limits, so make sure that your income is below. And I'm not sure exactly what the limits are now. I think it may be like 120K AGI, right? Adjusted gross income. So make sure that your income, don't quote me on that, but it's around that amount. But make sure that your income is below the limit so that you are eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. Okay, so you can literally no, there's no income limits for the regular IRA or the 401k. Okay. Yes, but there are income limits for the Roth IRA. So to make sure that you just, either talk to your accountant or just kind of look and see like what the limits are currently, and see if make sure that you are, eligible to contribute. All right. Next, I want to talk about custodial accounts, because some of you guys, maybe mommies like me, custodial accounts are one of the many investment accounts that I have for my daughter. My daughter has a Roth IRA. I mean, she's 18 months, but she has a Roth IRA because she works for our company. But she also has custodial accounts, a couple of different custodial accounts as well, right? So if you have children, custodial savings or investment accounts is a great way to start saving or investing for them, all right? I love them because they have no contribution limits, right? You can contribute as much as you want. You can hold and protect those assets until they reach the age of majority in their state, and they essentially can be used for anything, right? But they do count against financial aid. And I had pulled this this image just to kind of show the power of starting to invest, right? Starting to invest early, not just for children, but also for yourself, right? So it showed, based on this illustration, if I started saving $50 a week for Dawson, right? At the age of 1, by the age of 21, she'd have, $116,000, right? $116,000. That's pretty powerful, right? So just thinking about some of those small amounts, right? Some of those small amounts, and how they can add up over time. Like I said, not just for yourself, but for your children as well. And like I said, the power of starting to do this and starting to do these things sooner versus later. Okay. All right. Take a sip real quick. All right, cool. And hopefully, I think I will be able to answer some questions here as well. Actually, let me just answer a couple of these questions I'm seeing in the chat real quick. I saw a question about where did it go? I think I saw about index funds. Yeah, so asking about index funds. So index funds typically track like a financial market index, right? So it could literally be tracking the S&P 500, which stands for the S&P 500 stands for the Standard & Poor's 500, which tracks 500 of the top corporations in the US, right? So index funds literally track these indexes. So you can't actually invest into the S&P 500, but you can invest into these index funds that track them. Okay, so that's essentially what index funds are. Okay, I think someone mentioned. Okay, yes, Ashley was saying that if you withdraw from your retirement account early, you have to pay a penalty. Now, the one upside to Roth IRAs, right, is so with like 401ks and regular IRAs, there's always this 10% early withdrawal penalty. Plus, you may have to pay whatever your current tax bracket is. So let's say if you're taking money early out of your IRA or your 401k, you may have to pay the 10%, potentially pay the 10% early withdrawal penalty plus whatever your tax bracket is. So let's say if you're in the 20% tax bracket, the 20% plus the 10% could be a 30% penalty plus tax that you have to pay, right? Now, the upside to the Roth IRA is anything that you put into the Roth, you can take out completely tax penalty free. So let's say if you drop $5,000 into your Roth today, and then next week you're like, oh my gosh, there's some really great flight tickets to go to Bali. I want to take my money back out. You can literally withdraw the $5,000 that you deposited right back out of the Roth, completely penalty free. Okay. The only thing in the Roth that you have to pay early withdrawal penalties on is the earnings, which is the 10% penalty is only on the earnings. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Let me see if I have any more slides here. Oh, okay, perfect. So I'll answer a couple questions, but before I do that, if you guys have any other questions for me, don't hesitate. You can always DM me on Instagram. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. We're actually doing some free investing masterclass this Sunday on how to start investing with 1,000 or less. I'll be sharing with you the actual strategies that we use to start investing, creating portfolios, and also how we make money every single day with investing. And we're doing a money code challenge at the end of the month, while I'll be giving away thousands of dollars every single day to multiple people to help them start their investing journey and also help them pay off debt, whatever it may be. I've been really blessed financially this year, so we're giving away tons of money. So make sure you guys go to financesdemystified.com or just follow me on Instagram to learn more. So let me jump into the chat and then I can wrap up because I think we're running short on time. Stephanie said, what are your thoughts on robo-advisors such as Wealthfront? Are they worth the fees? I would say, Stephanie, that's up to you, right? So I do a lot of my own investing, but I would say they can be. I think some of those different types of robo-advisors can be really, 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 really great, especially if you are a very hands-off person, right? So what I do love about robo-advisors, so being a former regular advisor, human advisor, robo-advisors have really made the concept of advisory, right, and more professional financial advising something that is affordable and accessible by most people that it wasn't before, right? So with these robo-advisors, you're typically able to get access to these more sophisticated investing strategies without having the sometimes $500,000 or $1 million that's required, right? So I would say check them out. You know, all these different, there's not one robo-advisor that I necessarily recommend over another, but definitely make sure you do your research and see if it's worth it, you know, with the fees, et cetera, et cetera. And if it's aligned with your financial goals, then I would say definitely go for it. It's better to be doing something versus doing absolutely nothing. Okay. Andrea said, would you recommend funding a Roth IRA income eligible first and then maxing out your 401k? Andrea, it's hard to say what you should do first or second. I love the benefits personally of the Roth IRA. I'm no longer eligible for a Roth IRA, which I'm kind of sad about, but I definitely got a lot of monies in there before I was no longer eligible. But I think Roth IRAs are great because they are after tax and the money does grow tax free. Now, the downside to the 401k, which is why I don't love 401ks as much, is that all that money is pre-tax money, meaning, you know, most of us are young ladies here, meaning that by the time you hit retirement age, who knows what the tax bracket will be, right? The tax bracket could be 50%, 80%, 90%. We don't know. And all that money in our 401k, we have not paid taxes on yet, right? So I would say, without knowing your situation, I think it's an amazing idea to contribute as much as you can to the Roth. However, there could be a lot of tax benefits to you maxing out your 401k. If you can do both, do both. Obviously, speak to your CPA to see what is best, your tax professional to see what makes most sense for your financial situation. But I always tell people, try to max out a Roth if you are eligible to do so. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Kathy said, can you contribute to all three, Roth IRA, and 401k at the max limits, pre-tax or without tax penalty? So it's like yes and no, right? So you can contribute to the 401k. You can also contribute to the Roth at the same time. If you do the Roth and the IRA, there may be some stipulations as far as if you can actually write off the contributions. Okay, you have to talk to your CPA based on your situation, but there are some stipulations. If you're contributing to the 401k in the IRA, you may not be able to take the tax deduction for both. So I would say definitely talk to your tax professional about that. But you can definitely take advantage of the benefits of the 401k and the Roth. But sometimes the 401k and the IRA kind of don't mix well together. Awesome. All right, just going through the questions. Okay, I think I wrapped up a lot of the questions here. All right, well, I'm going to jump off. Thank you guys so much for having me. Hopefully I got through most of the questions here. Let's see. Oh, Madison had a question about fees. She said, can you talk about the fees associated with the Roth and 401k? I have Wealthfront for Roth IRA and Fidelity for 401k. How do I know if the fees are normal or higher than average? Honestly, I don't know, right? It really depends because I'm so far removed from wealth advisory. I don't even know what the average fees are, but I would say anytime you are comparing different investment advisors, make sure that you compare their fees, right? Each investment company is going to have different fees, right? So it's important for you to kind of do some research, literally, like compare who you're using, compare Wealthfront versus Fidelity. And a lot of times the fees will vary based on how much money you have there, right? How much money you have with them. And the fees can also vary based on the services that you provide. So example, Madison, you may be with Wealthfront, it may be more of a robo-advisor, so the fees may be lower. But with Fidelity, it may be more of a hands-on situation, so the fees may be higher, right? So it's important for you to kind of do your research. It's hard to say like, oh, I don't know everyone's fees, but definitely do your research and always compare. Anytime it comes to your money, comparison shop, right? We comparison shop for shampoo, lashes, hair people, whatever, right? But we do not comparison shop when it comes to our finances. So make sure you're comparison shopping and seeing like, hey, what is Wealthfront providing me versus Fidelity? Or what is Fidelity providing me versus Charles Schwab Intelligent Portfolio versus Elvest, right? See what services, what the differences are in their services and also what the differences are in their fees, okay? Pauline had a question about her income. She said, what if your income is different each month so you don't know your magic numbers? You do know your magic number, Pauline. Even if your income varies, you know what your average income is, right? So let's say, I know I used to have clients who are real estate professionals, right? So they may have a month where they bring in like $40,000 in one month. And the next month they sell no houses, or maybe they do one small deal and they bring in 2,000, right? So yes, they had a $40,000 month and a $2,000 month, but basically you want to take the average because your expenses typically are going to be similar to the same. So you know that if you had a $40,000 month and you may not have a $40,000 month for a month or two, you have to kind of average out and say, all right, well, this $40,000 needs to last me the next 2 to 3 months or 3 to 4 months, right? So I recommend if your numbers change, look at the past year, or look at, a quarter or 2 quarters and average out, determine what your average income is. Right. And so to find the average, you just add up the numbers and divide it by the amount of numbers that you're adding by. So if you're looking at a quarter, you take January, February, March, add those up and divide it by 3. And that's your average income. OK. Oh, Erica said, once you got your emergency savings and 401k, should the rest of your savings go into investing? I'm worried about taxes. I'm worried about taxes on withdrawal versus gains for short-term goal. Wait, she said, I'm worried about taxes on money withdrawals versus gains for short-term goals. I don't know your goals and your whole financial situation, right? But I personally, I think that once you do have that emergency savings in place, I'm also I'm a trader, right? So I'm a very risky investor and trader. I think it should go into investing. Even if it's not investing, it should go somewhere where your money will start working for you, okay? Go somewhere where your money start working for you. So once you've hit all these goals, you got your savings and everything in place, don't let those dollars be lazy. They got to get to work, right? Those other dollars, they're working. They're preparing and they're staying strong for your emergency. The rest of that money, I think, needs to go into investing, right? Don't worry about taxes, right? Don't worry about taxes. Focus on making all the monies you want, and then start preparing to create a tax strategy to protect that money and to limit your taxes. But don't ever limit your gains or your earnings because you're worried about taxes, okay? No worries, Erica. No, I'm happy I was able to get your question. All right. Okay, I think I got all the questions here. Got all the answers, questions, whatever. It's getting late, but you get what I'm saying. I think I've answered all your questions. Thanks again for having me. I will turn it over to who? Ashley? Claire? Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you guys so much, and hopefully I'll get to connect with all of you on Instagram.
Can you not see
For the rest of the festival.
Don't.
Thank you.
Hey, Dominique.
Yes. Should I hit the leave button?
Well, can everybody hear me? This is like what happens here behind the scenes. Can you all hear me?
I'm going to hit the leave button because I may be messing you up. So I'm going to go.
Okay. Well, Callie can hear me, but she's probably behind stage. So somebody who's watching, how about Pauline, Danielle? I see y'all in the chat. Can you hear me? I don't know if they can. I don't know if this is working.
Can everyone hear you?
Reset.
Yep, I can hear
Yep. Okay. Got it. Isn't this funny? Okay. Anybody conference organizers here? Man, it's hard enough to do this, and then we're sort of sweating it backstage. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Dominique. That was amazing. I took notes, and no, I don't always watch other presenters, and I learned so much from you. Beyond what Dominique does, I have another book to suggest for you all because I think some of you were asking for recommendations. I recently read this book. I thought it was fantastic. It's called The Art of Money by Barry Tesler. I did a fireside with her recently. It's really all about how do you sort of become emotionally and financially well. And it's a really good foundation to start building on top of. So awesome. Appreciate you all being here. Last thing I want to mention before we all go back to having lives is public.com/finance-festival. So many events happening. Today was just the beginning. We've got tomorrow, which is going to be the intro to stock market investing. I know Dominique covered that a little bit. That was, for her, it was a little more of like the literacy component, just understanding definitions of these things. We're going to get way more in depth tomorrow. Here's the thing though, you are going to need to RSVP for each individual event, okay? So there's no signing up for all of them all at once. Sorry about that. But here's the good news. When you RSVP for each individual event, you are guaranteed to get the recording for each individual event. I know a lot of you asked about that already. So stay tuned. Like I said, public.com/finance-festival. Also, ladiesgetpaid.com. Join our Slack group. It's free. We've got tons of webinars happening, not just this festival, but other kinds of programming, including a panel that I'm doing tomorrow about networking. A lot going on. And here's what's so amazing is we can all do this from the comfort of our homes, wearing our Crocs. And no, Crocs did not sponsor me, but they are more than welcome to. I appreciate you all very much. Thanks, Michelle, for that. Thank you for the shine theory there. And thanks to all of you for following me on Instagram. I'm seeing some beautiful comments and shares. And good luck. Good night. Missing you all in person, but hopefully we'll see you soon. And in fact, we'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love.